The Xbox platform has made major strides in the past 2 or 3 years with more studios and even more games in the works and major changes to the brand and quality throughout that shows a stark contrast with the old Xbox versus the new one, exciting fans and critics, especially into the new generation in 2021. Some of those critics are slow to see the changes and improvements made for the Xbox platform and seem to be stuck in a forced perspective that even with its few faults, the PlayStation is set to dominate the gaming space now into forever. A recent string of reports from journalists and online sites are coming around to Xbox, but some others are having a real difficulty seeing the Xbox lead the industry, and it's coming sooner than they think. This is Colteastwood. Welcome to the channel. Huge disclaimers before we get into this video. This is an Xbox-centric channel, and I don't claim to be neutral, but I do claim to look at the gaming platforms with fairness and call the good and the bad from both sides. Today, the focus is on a large viral site that I won't name or link that recently made a video outlining how the PS5 is destroying the Xbox already with many incorrect claims and totally missing information. No, this is not the DualShockers video, but very similar. Do not go attack this content if you find it. This is one team's opinion, and we are only correcting missing or wrong information. So if you end up enjoying or learning from this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's get into why the PS5 isn't exactly destroying the Xbox right now.
Today, we're looking at why the PS5 destroyed the Xbox Series X. Does Microsoft actually know how to make a console anymore? It's no secret that most Xbox exclusives aren't that good. Almost none of them are system sellers, and the Xbox One had an incredibly weak game library from the beginning, with forgettable launch titles like Dead Rising 3. Meanwhile, Sony has had some of the best video games in the industry and some of the best video games of all time, with God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Uncharted, and Bloodborne all available on PlayStation. And Sony doesn't have plans to slow down anytime soon, focusing closely on putting out blockbuster exclusives that more than justify the price of a new console.
Halo, Gears, and Forza are staples of the Xbox platform and routinely rate in the mid-80s out of 100 or to the low 90s out of 100. Third-party exclusive deals not made by Xbox, like Rise Son of Rome shown in this video, or Recore scored in low numbers or low ratings and failed to achieve critical acclaim or success. Overall, Xbox and PlayStation exclusive first-party games rate around the mid to low 80s in aggregate collective scores. Games like Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2018 rate in the mid-80s, along with Gears 5 and Halo 5 and many others. But it is obvious to the masses Xbox generally has fewer games and fewer compelling IPs compared to PlayStation, so it's no secret that Xbox needs more games, and the trajectory of Xbox Game Studios with 15 AAA studios and 23 studios overall cannot avoid providing a big swell of big blockbuster games in the first half of the generation, and it's no secret that this site has not even paid attention to that eventuality.
Microsoft has plenty of enormous franchises with huge player bases under its belt, like Forza and Halo, after all. It's that none of these games are Xbox exclusives, they're also available on PC, unlike the vast majority of Sony's games.
Here we see the classic moving of the goalpost, that when it's admitted that Xbox has big popular system sellers, the games don't need an Xbox console, while ignoring the millions that would rather play on console than reinvest their library and game saves and progress on a PC.
Microsoft hasn't given players any reason to buy an Xbox if they already own or are thinking of getting a PC instead.
Xbox has been sharing their platform on PC for several years, and this only serves one gripe amongst console fans in list wars, and that is the console units sold, which means nothing to success even from Xbox or even PlayStation's own CEO that said users and subscribers mean more to the success of PlayStation than console units sold. Xbox has shook the world to their feet when the realization that offering more flexibility and ways to play their games while still in the ecosystem is a major benefit to profit margins and satisfaction of their customers a true win-win, something that PlayStation is already teaming the waters to warm for their fans by planning to put their biggest blockbuster hits on PC.
Though Horizon Zero Dawn has appeared on PC, it's unclear whether this trend will continue for Sony.
Jim Ryan of PlayStation has said several weeks before this video that they want to start bringing more games to the PC to expand the reach and playability of PlayStation exclusives to a broader audience, because selling to PlayStation console owners is not enough to make up the investment of AAA games to just one player base.
PCs have other benefits over Xboxes too, like the fact that with a decent rig you can also play thousands of acclaimed indie games that won't ever come to consoles.
Xbox doesn't need you to get a console. They want you to get one, and the millions that choose a console over a PC do not care that the games are on PC. That reasoning only serves the fanboys that need a sales number ratio to justify their purchase and brag about which one sold more. But he makes no justification of why PlayStation shouldn't put their games on PC, even though every single third-party exclusive on PlayStation, made by studios not owned by PlayStation, releases their games exclusively for PlayStation and PC day and date, and ignoring the few PlayStation Studio games that are coming to PC in a couple years and soon, not long after launch. PlayStation's Jim Ryan has told fans that they are preparing to bring more PlayStation exclusives to PC, and means PlayStation is definitely not destroying Xbox in this regard. Actually, they are following their lead.
Game Pass is one of the only things Sony is losing to Microsoft over.
No, Xbox Game Pass is the biggest thing that PlayStation is losing to Xbox. Xbox is leading in console features, advancements like storage, performance sometimes double the frame rate thanks to FPS boost, quick resume, smart delivery, FPS boost, back compat enhanced, VRR at launch, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, Project Acoustics 3D, auto low latency mode, RDNA 2 features, SSD expansion at launch, Xbox Game Pass, game streaming on mobile, smart TVs and PCs, 23 studios, play anywhere, game preview, and more. Barring the console features that enhance the experience of playing games, obviously Xbox has some 40 games in development from partners and their own 23 studios. Xbox is leading in most game genres. Xbox is leading in first-person shooters with Halo, Doom, Wolfenstein, and more, the best third-person shooters with Gears. Forza leads the racing exclusive genre over Gran Turismo for the past 10 years, and the best Western RPGs with Obsidian, In Exile, and Bethesda, and the best tactical strategy games only to be bested by PlayStation's winning formula of open-world, third-person action-adventure games.
There's already a winner in the 9th generation console wars. At every step of the way, the PS5 has outsold, outshone, and outplayed the Series X.
Xbox is leading in services and streaming with xCloud game streaming, leading the market in every way, changing traditional gaming to a hybrid of buy, own, or rent your games with a value mark that even the most critical fans have taken to subscribing, and praising Xbox for offering so many choices. Xbox's frictionless generations with saves moving over, up and down between new and old hardware, and compatibility bringing games you already own with no effort on the part of the user, is seeing high praise right now. PS5's frustrated fans with PS4 versions of games launching on the PS5, or game saves needing several steps just to get your progress moved up on a cloud service locked behind a paywall.
The Xbox Series X, despite being on paper a far more technically impressive console with a marginally faster CPU, almost 2 teraflops more GPU power, and a larger SSD, has consistently underperformed against the PS5. For whatever reason, developers haven't yet been able to eke out the same performance from the Xbox Series X that they've achieved on the PS5, even when running cross-platform games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And this is in spite of games like Valhalla alleging that they are optimized for Xbox Series X.
Yes, he's right. The devs are working with new software implementation on the Xbox and working with nearly the same process they have before on PlayStation 5. This is why back compat enhanced games give Xbox a 50% advantage of a combination of quality, frame rate, and resolution.
Giving a very long answer here, but both systems, from like a tools perspective, are pretty good. I mean, Sony felt they were just a bit more ready with all of their software, so it's a bit easier to get the performance on the PS5 compared to like Series X, but like both systems, they're in their infancy.
I'm just kind of curious, in your experience and Remedy's experience with Control, were there any kind of major differences between developing Control for PS5 versus developing it for Series X? And
Sony kind of stuck to what worked, and their sort of development software and tools were like pretty stable and good pretty early on. And this is one of the things that people don't really see, like all of these impact like the performance that the consumer gets. And Microsoft opted to change quite a lot of things, which on the long run are probably good, but of course it's just a bigger hurdle for us devs early on to kind of like, we got to rewrite a bunch of different things to really take advantage of specific features. And that's not that's not like a huge negative or anything. It's just what software development is like. But maybe that explains other things. Like there's all this discussion like about teraflops, this and that. I'm just like, man, it's just numbers. Like ultimately, like the tools and everything just matters so much more, and how all of that is brought together matters so much more than just purely the numbers.
Right.
But it's impossible to predict. At the moment, if you're someone who cares about getting the absolute best performance possible, and a lot of people do, you'll need a PS5, not necessarily an Xbox.
It isn't impossible to predict the whole of the 9th generation of Xbox to PS5 because the Xbox has 18% more performance overall and some 20% more performance advantage with more advanced hardware features not coming to PS5 once games no longer are cross-generation, or plainly put, Xbox One to PS4 era design. Compared to the CPU-intensive, true next-generation games we have yet to see. I'll link a video breaking that down later.
And that's why the PS5 destroyed the Xbox Series X.
PlayStation.
As expected, PlayStation is still outselling the Xbox with their worldwide success that carries over 25 years of excellent games and consoles, pleasing fans year after year. Right now, the global charts show that PlayStation has sold more than Xbox, but we are not seeing a twofold lead or a destroying when the Xbox One was not agreeing with the market back in 2013. Right now, with a fresh Xbox generation that does not solely rely on console unit sales and instead wants to reach more of their customers through Game Pass and playing and buying games on Xbox and PC, the console sales unit numbers do nothing to measure success against a PlayStation that mostly sells only to one place. Game Pass numbers and intrigue for the new Xbox with bigger and more studios is showing the world that no one company is destroying another, especially looking at Nintendo continuing to outpace sales even with the PlayStation. It says one thing very clearly: gaming is bigger than ever, and with more choices in how we play, Xbox is standing among giants with big things to bring the industry, and it's all starting this year. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for watching. Oh man, it's been a couple of years since I've made a video like this that I would consider console war, but right now we are in such a pivotal place where Xbox is seeing major success when the industry and media are so used to seeing Xbox running so far behind. The video I sourced here is getting hammered by gaming fans on PlayStation and Xbox that do not agree, and I didn't link it because the last thing I want is for any of us to go harass someone for having an opinion. Everything I have said today is data-based and information that often gets ignored because sometimes PlayStation fans can see things from one perspective or looking at how things used to be. News for Xbox has been pretty hot and consistent with the teams working on over 30 games right now, and it looks like both PlayStation and Xbox will deliver a ton of quality games just in the first half of this generation. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content that comes weekly. Channel members and Patreon members, if you join on the link below, you'll get early access to videos, custom emojis, games, and merch giveaways that I do at the end of every single month. But I want to know, what do you think of the points in the video? What did you disagree with? Let me know in the comments. I can already see a ton of fighting on the way, so while you're discussing the differences, please be nice.